Hello. Hi. Nice to have you all here. Happy Monday. At its core, I think spirituality is about knowing yourself. And we are very, very similar in many, many ways. When we're born, when we are created, from the moment we are created, we are creating, whether it's art or imaginations or careers or mechanisms to cope with trauma or just survive in this world. And in effect, we are creating obstacles for ourselves. So, in some sense, the spiritual journey is overcoming the obstacles that we have built for ourselves. And as we do, we learn more about ourselves. And as we learn more about ourselves, we understand more about other people in the world. It's sort of a strange thing that all the different kinds of spirituality, with all their different stories, their stories of magic or peace or powers or transcendence or God, Some people who hear these stories may be touched deeply, and it may light a fire in them to undertake such a journey themselves. But most people, it seems, will take these spiritual stories and simply add them to a library in their mind. So all these stories are offered up to pacify the mind almost. Because in a way, our minds are sort of blackmailing us. Our own mind, our own obstacle. It says, give me what I want, or else. Or else will remind you of the idea of loneliness. Or else I will remind you of fear. Or else I will remind you that without me, your mind, you will be lost and afraid and alone. But we shouldn't indulge in these thoughts. Their threats are empty. Our mind is a tool, not a master. We must remain rooted in ourselves, in our source. and let the world come to us. For wherever we move our mind out into the world, we move our center of gravity, our center of balance. With all of your attention in your head, I could poke you in the forehead and you'd fall over. And when you chase things in the world, thinking that they're going to be the answer to all your problems, I could blow on you and you'd be knocked down. There are so many experiences in the spiritual realm, and we can read about experiences that other people had that were divine or profound or enlightening or whatever. But what is that going to teach us about ourselves? How does that help us know ourselves? So long as we're filling our mind with other people's stories, Buddha's story or Jesus' story or Nisargadatta's story, how can we have an experience of our own, a direct experience? Don't let yourself get trapped comparing yourself to saints and sages or gurus or other people who you think are more spiritual than you or less spiritual than you. Remain in the first person perspective, firsthand. if you decide to drop all of the stories that you've heard from other people and resolve to only speak from your own personal experience, your own direct experience, then you begin to truly understand how little you know, how little you truly know for yourself. If you keep this center of gravity, this center of balance within yourself, within your body, within your chest, within your gut, and you let the thoughts melt down into your body, it may at first feel like you're drifting away from reality, like you're losing touch with reality, maybe like you've gone insane. But I think this is a necessary phase because this reality that you're drifting away from is an illusion, is an invention of your mind. And the only thing that keeps it existing is that we are constantly feeding it. We're constantly feeding this plot that we've made for ourselves. But if we get through this phase of feeling like we're drifting away from reality, and getting more in touch with ourselves, with who we are, how we feel, our own perspective, not he said this, not she said this, not they said that, they did that, just me, a very sweet selfishness. But then suddenly something will happen. Now that your head is not filled with other people's experiences that you're trying to emulate, or other people's behaviors that you're trying to idolize, you've become open and receptive. And this is when the gift of firsthand experience has a chance to blossom within you. Your own personal, unique spiritual experience. And no one else can tell you what it was, or how it was, or why it was, because it's yours. And the world you once knew will have dissolved. And the small, fragile you that once fit into that world will fill in the space. It will fill in the space that has been vacated by these illusions that we've made for ourselves. A place where our mind cannot blackmail us anymore with ideas of fear and loneliness. Where we're not at the whim of the world. We don't fall over at the slightest push or the gentlest breeze. I don't want to fill your mind with more stories. I don't want to nourish your mind. No, I speak to your heart. I speak to your heart. And I ask you to stay there, to make that your center of balance. And as hard as it may be at times, to stay seated there and let the world come to you. Let the world move around you. This may sound like selfishness, but it's nothing of the sort. When we walk around in this world, being controlled by fears and loneliness and seeking any ounce of happiness we can get our hands on, no matter what the cost is. That's far more selfish than knowing thyself, resting in yourself, and recognizing in your own beautiful, unique way a clarity, a truth that belongs to you, a first-hand experience that validates all of the knowledge that you've ever compiled about spiritual things. But it's no longer a hunch. It's no longer trusting what someone else that you respect has said about it. It's yours. And you can tell 1,000 stories to express it, and you know that these stories will never touch it. But you hope, as I am hoping here, that your heart, the hearts of others, will hear it and they will spark and they will light and they will burn and burn and burn. until they find their own truth, until they throw out your story, my story, and they find their own. Until they allow themselves to dive into the fear of being nobody, so that they can be somebody. That's my story, anyways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you.